Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Mr.Night-Terror. In the shadows of the night, where darkness dances with fear, welcome to a world of chilling tales that will haunt your dreams and send shivers down your spine. Subscribe to my channel and join me as we embark on this haunting adventure together. But beware, once you enter this realm, there's no turning back. In the heart of the wilderness, where ancient trees whispered secrets and shadows danced in the moonlight, my closest friends and I embarked on a much-anticipated camping trip. Elly and I, inseparable since we first met in the spring of 2021, now deeply in love and the glue that bound the group together. Elly's unwavering determination and warm-hearted nature complemented my rugged charm and adventurous spirit. As we drove through winding roads leading to the entrance of the vast national park, excitement filled the air inside the old, weathered car. I steered the wheel, my eyes gleaming with anticipation, while Elly sat next to me, occasionally glancing at the forest that seemed to stretch on endlessly. In the back seats were our closest friends, Kayla, the witty and fearless soul, and Jake, a gentle giant with an uncanny ability to calm any situation. Laughter and banter reverberated through the vehicle, echoing the deep bond that connected us together. The sun began its descent, casting a warm golden hue upon the trees as they arrived at the park's entrance. The ranger greeted them with a friendly smile, cautioning them about the dangers that lurked in the woods at night. Elly and I exchanged a knowing glance as our friends brushed it off as mere campfire tales and eagerly entered the wilderness. The day was filled with delightful hikes, picturesque landscapes, and shared stories around the campfire. The crackling flames danced in tune with their laughter, seemingly pushing away any thoughts of lurking shadows. But as the night deepened and the forest was shrouded in darkness, an eerie hush fell upon our group. Kayla couldn't help but notice the ancient trees seemed to lean closer, as if listening to a distant, haunting melody. "You guys feel that, right?" Kayla whispered, her playful demeanor giving way to a sense of unease. I looked at her with a reassuring grin. "Come on, Kayla. You don't believe those ranger stories, do you?" Elly chimed in. "It's just the wilderness, playing tricks on our imagination." But as we settled into our tents, the forest's nocturnal symphony began to change. The rustling of leaves turned into hushed whispers, and the occasional snap of a twig echoed through the night, evoking a primal instinct to seek shelter. Around 4 a.m., Jake awoke to relieve himself. There was an unsettling chill in the air, his breath forming a faint mist in front of his face. As he peered outside the tent, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He dismissed it as mere paranoia and was about to return to his slumber when he noticed something peculiar. Large footprints imprinted in the soft earth, leading away from the campsite. Uncertain whether to share his discovery, Jake glanced at his sleeping friends, unaware of the peril that lurked nearby. With the memory of the ranger's caution lingering in his mind, he hesitated, unsure if he should disturb the peace of the night. And so, beneath the canopy of ancient trees, our group of friends remained oblivious to the enigmatic presence that shadowed our every move, a presence that would soon shatter our tranquil camping trip and plunge us deeper into fear, far beyond our understanding. Over the next few days, the camping trip continued as planned, with hikes to breathtaking vistas, river exploration, and shared moments of camaraderie. Elly and I's love flourished amidst the beauty of nature, and the bond among our friends grew even stronger. Yet as the sun dipped below the horizon each night, the forest seemed to come alive with a haunting energy. Strange sounds echoed through the trees, and the chilling sensation of being watched lingered, growing more pronounced with each passing dusk. Although Kayla tried to brush off her growing unease with humor, even she couldn't deny the eerie atmosphere that surrounded us. One evening, as our group sat around the campfire, captivated by the dancing flames, the forest's haunting melody seemed to intensify. An unnerving silence engulfed the air, causing our laughter to fade away into the night. Elly looked around, her heart pounding in her chest. "Guys, do you hear that? It's like whispers." I nodded, concern etched across my face. "I've noticed it too, but I think it's just the wind, playing tricks on our ears." Before any of us could reply, a loud crack echoed through the woods, startling us all. Jake instinctively stood up, scanning the darkness beyond the reach of their campfire's glow. His eyes met a pair of glowing orbs in the distance, watching them from the shadows. "What was that?" Kayla's voice trembled as she clung to her flashlight. Jake took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. "It's probably just a wild animal. We are in the wilderness after all." But the uneasy feeling lingered, and we decided to take turns keeping watch throughout the night. Elly and I's turn came. We huddled close to the fire, trying to dispel the sense of foreboding that crept into our hearts. As the hours passed, I noticed a faint figure darting between the trees, just on the edge of my vision. I blinked, thinking my tired eyes might be playing tricks on me. However, Elly also caught a glimpse of the fleeting shadow. "Nate, I saw something too. It was like a person, but not quite," she whispered. My grip tightened around my K-bar knife I acquired from my military days. "Stay here, Elly. I'll go check it out. It's probably just a curious camper from another site." Elly wanted to protest, but she knew I was too protective to let her wander off into the darkness alone. She nodded hesitantly, her heart pounding as she watched me venture into the black veil of the forest. My footsteps crunched on the fallen leaves as I followed the mysterious figure, each step feeling heavier than the last. The forest seemed to close in around me, its once welcoming embrace now suffocating. I stopped, straining my ears to catch any sound. Then, from the shadows emerged a tall, gaunt figure. A Wendigo, a mythical creature that fed on human flesh. Its eyes were hollow voids, its skeletal hands adorned with sharp claws and buck-like antlers. A cold chill ran down my spine as I realized the gravity of the situation. Back at the campsite, Elly's heart pounded as time dragged on. Fear gnawed at her, and she couldn't bear the suspense any longer. Without a second thought, she followed my trail into the woods. As she drew closer to the eerie presence lurking in the darkness, she hid behind a tree, witnessing me confronting the Wendigo. In that moment, the truth became undeniable. The stories of the ranger were not just tales to scare campers away. They were warnings of the real dangers that lurked within the wilderness. Elly held her breath, torn between rushing to my side and preserving her own safety. But love and loyalty prevailed, and she made her decision. Now, the fate of our friends hung in the balance, our bond tested by the malevolent forces of the forest. The chilling grip of the Wendigo's curse tightened, setting the stage for an epic battle between our will and ancient evil. As the camping trip entered its fourth day, the real test of courage, resilience, and friendship had only just begun. As the night wore on, the chilling encounter with the Wendigo left Elly and I grappling with fear and uncertainty. We returned to the campsite, realizing that leaving the national park was no longer a viable option. The forest seemed to have shifted, and every direction we turned, we found ourselves back at the same spot. It was as if the wilderness itself was playing a malevolent game, trapping us within its dark embrace. Our attempts to communicate with the outside world failed as our phones had no signal, and the GPS seemed to lead us in circles. Fearful and bewildered, we decided to share our discovery with Kayla, who, despite her skepticism about the supernatural, couldn't deny the unsettling aura surrounding us. "We need to find a way out of here," Kayla said, her voice echoing the urgency of the situation. "We can't stay trapped in this nightmare." I nodded, my determination resolute. "We'll stick together and keep trying. There has to be a way out." As dawn approached, we discussed our plan. We knew the Wendigo had targeted us, but we couldn't understand why or how to escape its relentless pursuit. I suggested searching for clues about the legend of the Wendigo, hoping to uncover some weakness that could be exploited. Throughout the day, poring over old books and articles about the ancient myths of the region that Elly brought with her, we discovered a glimmer of hope, a cryptic passage about how Wendigos could be defeated by fire. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I devised a plan. We collected branches and dried leaves to build a massive bonfire near our campsite, intending to create a ring of protection that would ward off the Wendigo. The hope was that fire could keep the malevolent creatures at bay, allowing us to find a way out of the cursed forest. As night fell once more, we gathered around the blazing fire, our hearts heavy with apprehension. The flames offered a brief respite from the encroaching darkness, but the eerie whispers in the forest still sent shivers down our spines. Suddenly, a gut-wrenching scream pierced through the night, We turned to see Jake, who had ventured a short distance from the fire, being dragged into the shadows by multiple Wendigos. The horror of the situation paralyzed us for a moment, before adrenaline took over. My eyes blazing with determination, grabbed a flaming branch from the fire and rushed towards the Wendigos, unleashing a fierce attack. My makeshift weapon struck one of the creatures, causing it to retreat with a spine-chilling shriek. The others, however, remained relentless, their hunger for flesh overcoming their fear of fire. Kayla screamed Jake's name, but she knew we couldn't afford to split up. The Wendigos were relentless, and their numbers seemed endless. In a desperate attempt to save ourselves, we retreated closer to the blazing fire. The Wendigos circled us, their eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. Each step they took was calculated, as if the creatures were testing their prey before striking. As the night dragged on, the Wendigos grew bolder, and our hope began to wane. It was then that I noticed something. The creatures seemed to avoid the direct light of the fire, hesitating to cross the line of flames. With this revelation, Elly, Kayla, and I fought back with newfound vigor, using the fire as a shield to keep the Wendigos at bay. The creatures snarled and hissed, their malevolence contrasting with the purity of the flames that protected the campsite. But the fire could only hold them off for so long. The Wendigos' determination to feast upon our group was unwavering. Each passing minute brought us closer to despair and exhaustion. In the midst of this life-or-death struggle, we couldn't help but wonder, would dawn bring salvation? Or would the Wendigos consume us before the sun's first rays pierced the darkness? Our bond as friends and lovers was put to the ultimate test as we fought to survive against the ancient evil that lurked within the heart of the wilderness. As the first rays of dawn broke through the horizon, the group was met with the horrifying sight of Jake's mangled and bloody body. The once vibrant and fearless Kayla was now in agony, her laughter silenced by grief. Elly rushed to her side, offering whatever support she could, trying to provide comfort amidst the overwhelming despair. I was determined to protect my friends. I decided to gather wood for a massive bonfire. With every stick I collected, my mind raced, devising a plan to fend off the Wendigos that had plagued us throughout the night. I knew that the fire was our best chance of survival, at least until we could find a way out of this cursed forest. As night fell once more, we gathered around the roaring flames, seeking solace in its warm embrace. I kept a vigilant eye on the surrounding darkness, holding my K-bar knife tightly, ready to defend my friends against any lurking threat. Yet despite our efforts, an eerie silence seemed to hang heavily in the air. The forest was unnervingly still. The creatures that had tormented us the previous nights were absent, as if waiting for the right moment to strike. The tension was palpable, and even the crackling fire couldn't dispel the uneasy feeling that surrounded us. Kayla, still grappling with the loss of Jake, tried to lighten the mood with a weak smile, but her sorrow was evident. Elly looked at me, her eyes mirroring my concern. "Nate, do you think they'll come back tonight?" I nodded solemnly. "I don't know, but we can't let our guard down. We have to be ready for anything." As the night wore on, our fatigue began to take its toll. We took turns keeping watch, but sleep was an elusive luxury in this haunted place. The fire's flames flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with the surrounding darkness. Suddenly, a bone-chilling gust of wind swept through the camp, extinguishing a section of the bonfire. Panic surged through us as we rushed to keep the flames alive, but before we could fully reignite the fire, a terrifying sound pierced the silence. A gut-wrenching scream echoed through the night, and we turned to see Kayla being snatched out of the fire circle. A Wendigo, its hollow eyes gleaming with malevolence, had breached our defenses and taken her. "Nate, we have to do something," Elly cried with a terror-stricken face. I didn't hesitate. I lunged towards the Wendigo, my knife raised, but the creature was swift and elusive. It vanished into the darkness with Kayla in its grasp, leaving only the echoes of her terrified screams behind. "We can't let them take her! We have to save her!" Elly pleaded, her voice trembling with fear and determination. My jaw tightened, my eyes were burning with resolve. "You're right. We can't give up on her. We'll find her and bring her back." In the face of overwhelming despair, Elly and I's bond as a couple and as friends became our source of strength. We clung to the flickering hope that we could rescue Kayla and make it out of this nightmarish ordeal alive. With our hearts heavy and adrenaline surging, we set out to rescue our dear friend from the clutches of the Wendigos. The forest had now become a maze of terror, each step fraught with uncertainty and danger. But we pushed forward, the memory of our lost friends fueling our determination to survive and escape the relentless horrors that plagued the cursed woods. As the night pressed on, our resilience and love for each other would be put to the ultimate test, and the shadows of the Wendigos loomed ever closer, waiting to consume us in darkness. As the sun rose on the following day, our hearts sank at the grim discovery of Kayla's lifeless body hanging from the trees by her entrails. We felt overwhelmed with sadness and guilt, wondering if we could have done more to protect her. Our grief was suffocating, yet we knew we had to keep moving if we were to survive. As we explored our surroundings, we stumbled upon an old, dilapidated barn not far from where Elly and I found poor Kayla. I saw this as a potential sanctuary, a place where we could make a stand against the Wendigos. Gathering what supplies we could salvage, including the remaining gas cans, we moved everything to the barn. Nightfall brought with it a renewed sense of dread, but also a glimmer of hope. I devised a plan to lure the Wendigos into the barn and set it ablaze, hoping to rid the forest of the malevolent creatures once and for all. As darkness engulfed the forest, Elly and I positioned ourselves inside the barn. The atmosphere was heavy with tension, but we steeled our resolve for the harrowing task ahead. Our love for one another was a silent reassurance, a shared determination to survive the horrors we faced. The Wendigos emerged from the shadows, their eyes burning with hunger, drawn by the scent of their prey. Elly and I, with aching hearts, knew this was our only chance to end the nightmare that had plagued us. We hid in the upper loft, waiting for them to enter. As they did, with a deep breath, I ignited the gasoline-soaked floors, engulfing the barn in flames. The creatures hesitated, momentarily disoriented by the sudden inferno. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly jumped down and barricaded the exits, trapping the Wendigos inside. But in my desperate attempt to protect Elly, I was slashed in my gut and sustained severe injuries. My resolve was unyielding, however. As I looked into Elly's tearful eyes and mustered a weak smile, I said, "Elly, you need to go. Find a place to hide, away from here," I urged, my voice strained but resolute. "I'll hold them off, give you a chance to escape." Elly's heart wrenched with anguish, refusing to leave me behind. "No, I can't leave you. We can find another way." I gripped her hand tightly, but my voice remained gentle. "There's no other way. I love you, Elly, and I won't let them take you too. Go now. Remember me, baby." Tears streamed down her face as she reluctantly nodded, torn between love and survival. With a final kiss, she whispered, "I'll never forget you, Nate. I love you too." Elly ran through the night, her heart aching with each step. The echoes of the barn's destruction reverberated through the forest as the flames consumed both the Wendigos and her beloved Nate. She found a hidden alcove, hiding away from the devastation. When morning arrived, the forest fell silent once more, the Wendigos finally vanquished. But Elly's heart was shattered, haunted by the memory of that night. The weight of survivor's guilt weighed heavily on her soul, as she mourned the loss of her friends and the love of her life. She emerged from the forest a changed person, forever haunted by the horrors she had endured. The memories of that fateful camping trip would never leave her, a constant reminder of the sacrifice Nate made to save her. Though Elly eventually returned to her normal life, she was never the same. The forest had stolen her innocence, replacing it with scars that ran far deeper than the surface. The ghosts of the past followed her, lingering in the shadows, forever etched in her heart. And so, the tale of Elly's nightmarish journey lived on, a tragic testament to the darkness that could lurk in even the most picturesque of places. The forest held its secrets, and for Elly, it would forever be a place of sorrow and lost dreams. I'm Mr. Night-Terror, your host, and I thank you for watching and experiencing this story with me. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, as I will be narrating many more scary stories in the upcoming days. If you have an idea of a story you would like me to narrate, please leave a request and description in the comments. And as always, stay scared, my friends.